Hey, I'm Kelly Burgess. I'm the CEO and founder of BURG+CO Marketing. And today we're going to talk about what factors impact your SEO ranking the most. So we have this list of 7 factors here. You can see it in the article. If you're watching this on YouTube, click on the link that's in the description to read through the 7 factors I'm referencing. But of those 7, there are 2 factors that we have found with the Gemini update that are the most critical when it comes to your SEO ranking, and that is frequency and depth of expertise. So what we mean by frequency is simply the amount of times that you're posting. In depth of expertise, we're going to talk about content pillars, how to do internal linking, things like that. But those are the 2 biggest factors that Gemini, or at least the Gemini update, is really taking into consideration when it comes to where you rank. So let's start with the easy one, frequency, right? So typically prior to the Gemini update, as long as you were posting once a week, you were in a good spot. You may not see the most drastic increase or improvement among keywords, especially for the high competition keywords, but you were generally in a pretty good spot. You could see a good growth trajectory as far as rank goes, and you still had some viability when it came to, or when it comes to the harder ranking keywords. That's not quite the case anymore. So what we've actually found, we've been A/B testing this across multiple healthcare sites. So what we've actually found is that at this point, to simply maintain your standing, you need about 5 blog posts per month. So it's roughly 1, sometimes 2 posts per week. But that's simply to maintain. You're no longer able to really grow with that type of frequency. So the type of frequency where you start to see growth really begins at 10 articles per month. So we're looking at 2, sometimes 3 blogs per week. That's when you're really seeing the growth mark. Now, we have some clients who are doing 40 articles per month, 50 articles per month, and they're seeing huge growth trajectories. Now, this depends on what type of industry you're in. We work predominantly in the healthcare space, so there's no shortage of questions that people have. One thing that you really want to be careful about, though, is that you don't become too redundant. And there's a way to do that well, which actually leads into my second point, which is a level of expertise or depth of expertise in these articles. So as you are creating content, think about creating content pillars. So if you are a mental health clinic and you often treat bipolar, there should be several articles. There should be one core, we call it the cornerstone article, one cornerstone article that is your be-all end-all guide to bipolar. What is it? How does it happen? What are the treatment options? What are some of the triggers that can spark an episode? Anything that has to do with bipolar. This is the be-all end-all guide that someone who was recently diagnosed with bipolar can go to your site and say, okay, I get it. So that should be your cornerstone piece. And then beyond that, you really need to build out this range and depth of expertise for each topic and each service line that you cover. So, and if you're wondering what topics and service lines you cover, go to the top navigation menu of your website, and they should all be listed there. And if they're not listed there, that's a different problem. They should all be listed there. So once you get that cornerstone piece, you're going to want to go into whatever SEO tool it is that you use. We use SEMrush. I have found it to be the closest tied to Google's algorithms, especially in light of all of the algorithm changes. I find that SEMrush really keeps up with it the best. But go to whatever SEO tool that you're using, whatever keyword planner tool you're using, and look up all of the related topics around bipolar or whatever that service line is. And then you want to start filtering out. So what keywords are actually conversion focused, because you don't want to spend all of your time creating content that's too top of funnel, where you miss the lower funnel, lower hanging fruit. So what is conversion focused? What is actually relevant to the services that you do, because not everything within that topic that people are searching for is going to be exactly relevant to what you do. So what is conversion focused? What is relevant? and what is actually attainable, right? So what is the keyword difficulty and where does your site currently rank? So if you are starting out on your SEO journey, it would not benefit you to go after a high competition keyword because you're going to be going up against WebMD, Mayo Clinic, things like that, and you're simply not going to rank. So what can you start with that's lower competition but still conversion focused? Get some of that lower hanging fruit in there, because what's actually going to happen is that Google is going to send people to your site for that lower competition keyword that you can actually rank for. And if people start converting off of that keyword, Google will say, oh, this is a pretty relevant site to this topic. Let me start sending more people there that have questions about bipolar, and more and more and more. And that's how you gain traction. So you have to be very careful not to start right out of the gates with something like bipolar, because everyone is targeting bipolar. But what you can start with is something that is way more specific, still conversion focused, but lower competition, which would be what to do with a bipolar relapse, right? Or bipolar and self-harm. So what are those cross diagnoses that you can start targeting that's still within your market and still within your service range, still conversion focused, but infinitely lower competition, so that you can prove out to Google that not only do you know about this topic, but you know how to talk to people about this topic, that you can create good content that gets people the information that they need to take the next step and get the help that they need. And when Google sees that consistently, that's when your ranking starts to increase, and that's when you can start going after the higher competition keywords. So just to recap, the top 2 factors when it comes to whether or not your site will rank is the frequency of your posting. And again, we're seeing 5 posts per month is kind of the maintenance piece. 10 posts or greater per month is really where you start seeing that growth based on the Gemini update. So frequency of posts, and then the length and depth of expertise within each topic. Oh, and I should note that all of those topic articles that you're doing should link back to that cornerstone piece. I forgot to mention that. And that's how you build really that content hub that Google loves. So if you have any questions about how to do this, this is kind of what we're known for. SEO is our expertise. So if you have any questions around how to set this up, or if you want to know what it looks like for us to go in there and set it up for you, anything at all, please do not hesitate to reach out. We love talking about SEO and content marketing. So let us know. We'll schedule a chat and get you set up correctly.